The transport ship screamed through the dark space above. Helio 7, smoke poured from its damaged engines as it spun toward the neutral medical station. Inside the cramped cargo hold, Dr. Kong Woojin pressed his hands against Captain Li Minji's bleeding chest. "Stay with me," Captain Woojin said. His voice was calm, but his hands shook. Blood covered his uniform and dripped onto the metal floor. "We're almost there." Minji's eyes were closed. Her breathing was shallow and fast. The plasma blast had torn through her armor and deep into her body. 3 other Marines lay around them, some moaning, others silent. Too silent. "Doc, is she going to make it?" asked Corporal Kim Taiho. He held a bloody bandage against his leg wound. Woojin did not answer. He could not lie to his patients, but he could not tell the truth either. Minji was dying. They all knew it. The transport ship shuddered as it docked with the medical station. Woojin had been to this station before. It was supposed to be neutral territory. Human and alien doctors worked together here. At least, that was how it was supposed to be. The airlock opened with a hiss. Woojin grabbed the stretcher handles. "Help me get her out," he called to Taiho. They carried Mingi through the clean white corridors of the medical station. The walls were lined with strange alien writing that glowed blue in the dim light. Woojin had never learned to read it, but he knew what it meant. This was Vorthan territory now. "Emergency," Woojin shouted as they burst through the doors of the main medical bay. "I need help. Critical patients." The medical bay was large and bright. Strange machines hummed and beeped around the room. But what caught Woojin's attention were the doctors. They were all Vorthan, tall, thin beings with gray skin and large black eyes. Their long fingers ended in sharp points that could cut through metal or heal the deepest wounds. Dr. Vexera looked up from her work. She was the head doctor here. Woojin had met her once before, during a prisoner exchange. She had seemed professional then. Cold, but professional. Now she looked at the humans, with something that might have been disgust. "We don't treat monsters," she said. Her voice was like ice. "Your species has brought nothing but death to this sector." Woojin stared at her. "What are you talking about? These are wounded soldiers. They need help." "Soldiers." Vexera stepped closer. Her black eyes reflected the overhead lights. "You mean killers? Murderers who destroy everything they touch." "Please," Woojin said. He could hear the desperation in his own voice. "Look at them. They're hurt. They're dying. Isn't that what doctors do? Save lives." Vexera turned to the other Vorthan medical staff. They whispered among themselves in their own language. Their words sounded like wind through broken glass. "Remove them," Vexera said finally. "This is a medical facility, not a morgue for human butchers." Woojin felt his heart sink. "You can't be serious. This is a neutral station. The medical treaty, the treaty is void," Vexera interrupted. "Your people broke it when they bombed the civilian transport near Vega Station. 43 innocent Vorthan died. Children, elders, families. That wasn't us." Woojin protested. "We had nothing to do with that. All humans are the same," Vexera said. "Violence is in your nature. Destruction follows wherever you go." Woojin looked around the medical bay. The other Vorthan doctors avoided his eyes. Some looked uncomfortable, but none spoke up. None offered to help. "Fine," Woojin said. He grabbed the stretcher handles again. "If you won't help them, I will." "You," Vexera laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. One human doctor with no equipment, no proper facilities. "You will only make their suffering worse." "Maybe," Woojin said, "but at least I'll try." He pushed the stretcher toward the exit. Taiho limped beside him, helping to guide the wounded. As they left the medical bay, Woojin heard Vexera speak to her staff in their own language. He did not understand the words, but he understood the tone. They were laughing at him. The storage room was small and dark. Old medical supplies filled the shelves. Woojin cleared a space in the center and pulled Minji's stretcher inside. The other wounded Marines were laid out on the floor. "This is not exactly a proper operating room," Taiho said. "It'll have to do," Woojin replied. He opened his medical bag and pulled out what supplies he had. A few bandages, some basic medicine, and a small surgical kit. Not much to work with, but it was all he had. Nurse Park Hyun-soo appeared in the doorway. She was young, maybe 25, with scared eyes and blood on her uniform. "Doctor, I brought what I could from the transport," she said. She carried a box of medical supplies. "It's not much, it's enough," Woojin lied. "Help me get her stabilized." He cut away Minji's damaged armor and uniform. The wound was worse than he had thought. The plasma blast had burned through skin and muscle, nearly reaching her heart. She should have died already. Only her strong will kept her alive. "Her blood pressure is dropping," Hyun-soo said. She held a small scanner over Minji's body. "Pulse is weak and irregular." Woojin worked quickly. His hands moved with practiced skill as he cleaned the wound and tried to stop the bleeding. But without proper equipment, without the right medicines, he was fighting a losing battle. "Doctor," Hyun-soo whispered, "are we going to lose her?" Woojin paused. He looked at Mingi's pale face. She was so young. They were all so young. "Not if I can help it," he said. But even as he spoke the words, he wondered if he was lying to himself as much as to his nurse. The wound was too severe. the blood loss to great, and somewhere in the medical bay, the Vorthan doctors continued their work, saving lives while human soldiers died in a storage closet. Wujin pressed his hands against Minji's wound and applied pressure. Blood seeped between his fingers. Outside, he could hear the sounds of the medical station, machines humming, voices speaking in alien languages, life going on while death waited in the shadows. "Hold on, Captain," he whispered. "Just hold on." 3 hours had passed since Dr. Kang Wujin began his desperate fight to save Captain Li Minji's life. The storage room had become his operating theater, lit only by a single emergency light. Sweat dripped from his forehead as he worked over her still form. "Her heart rate is getting weaker," Nurse Park Hyun-soo said. She held the scanner with shaking hands. "Blood pressure is almost nothing." Wujin pressed harder against the wound. His makeshift bandages were soaked red. "I need more gauze and something to stop the internal bleeding." "That's all we have left," Hyun-soo said quietly. The other wounded Marines lay around them. Corporal Kim Tae-ho had managed to sit up against the wall. His leg wound was serious but not life-threatening. Private Nam Ji-won sat beside him, holding his broken arm. The communication device on his belt crackled with static. Dr. Ji-won said, "I'm picking up some strange signals. Military channels." "Not now," Wujin muttered. He was trying to suture a torn blood vessel with equipment meant for minor cuts. His hands moved carefully, but he knew it was not enough. "No, doctor, you need to hear this," Ji-won said. He adjusted the device. The static cleared, and voices came through. "Rescue mission successful. 17 Vorthan civilians extracted from collapsed mineshaft." Wujin looked up. Would Ji-won turn the volume higher? The voice continued, "Captain, Lee's squad sacrificed 3 members to save the trapped children. Explosives went off during the rescue. Human soldiers shielded the Vorthan kids with their own bodies." The room went silent except for the beeping of medical equipment. Hyun-soo stared at the communication device. "They were saving alien children," she whispered. "Repeat message," another voice said through the static. "Human rescue team prevented total collapse of mine. All Vorthan survivors recovered. 3 human Marines killed in action while protecting civilian targets." Wujin felt something cold in his stomach. The mission report. They were on a rescue mission. Tae-ho coughed and spoke in a weak voice. "Mine collapse on Helio 7. Vorthan kids were trapped underground. Captain Minji volunteered our squad to help dig them out. But the Vorthan doctors think we're monsters," Hyun-soo said. "They think we killed civilians." "Wrong intel," Tae-ho said. "Always happens in war. Truth gets twisted." Ji-won continued listening to the communications. "Wait, there's more. The mine collapse wasn't an accident. Someone planted explosives. They wanted to make it look like humans attacked Vorthan civilians." Wujin's hands stopped moving. "Someone set us up." "Sounds like it," Ji-won said. "The explosion happened right after our rescue team went in, almost like they were waiting." Suddenly the storage room door opened. Light from the corridor flooded in. Dr. Vextera stood in the doorway. Her tall shadow fell across the wounded humans. "You are still here," she said. "Where else would I go?" Wujin replied. He did not look up from his patient. "My people are dying." Vextera stepped inside. Her black eyes looked around the makeshift medical area. She saw the blood-soaked bandages, the improvised equipment, the exhausted doctor working without proper tools. "This is not a proper operating environment," she said. "It's what I have," Wujin said, "unless you've changed your mind about helping monsters." Vextera was quiet for a moment. She moved closer to examine Minji's wound. Her medical training made her look even when her heart said no. "The damage is severe," she said. "Without proper equipment, she will die." "Tell me something I don't know," Wujin said bitterly. "The communication device," Vextera said suddenly. "I heard voices. Military reports." Ji-won looked at Wujin, who nodded. "Your people were trapped in a mine. Our squad went in to get them out." "That is impossible," Vextera said. "Humans do not risk their lives for Vorthan civilians." "These 3 did," Tae-ho said, pointing to 3 body bags in the corner. "Marines Song, Park, and Lee. They died holding up a tunnel so Vorthan kids could escape." Vextera stared at the body bags. "You are lying." Ji-won held up the communication device. "Listen for yourself." The reports continued to come through. Details about the rescue mission, the sacrifice of human Marines, the successful evacuation of 17 Vorthan children. Each word hit Vex like a physical blow. "This cannot be true," she whispered. "It is true," Wujin said. He finally looked up at her. His eyes were red with exhaustion. "Your people were trapped. These soldiers died to save them. And now you won't even help the survivors." Vextera's hands began to shake. She remembered the reports she had received. Human attack on civilian transport. 43 dead Vorthan. Orders to refuse treatment to human prisoners. "The reports we received," she said slowly, "they said humans bombed a transport ship." "Wrong reports," Ji-won said. "Happens all the time in war zones. Truth gets lost in the noise." Vextera looked down at Captain Mingi. The young human woman was barely breathing. Her skin was pale and cold. How long has she been like this? Vexthera asked. 3 hours. Wujin said. Maybe less. I've done everything I can with what I have. Vexthera knelt beside the stretcher. Her long fingers moved over Mingi's wound with professional skill. She could see what Wujin had done, how he had tried to repair the damage with basic tools. Your surgical technique is good, she admitted, but this wound requires advanced treatment. I know, Wujin said quietly, but I won't give up on her. The internal bleeding is severe. Without proper surgery, she has perhaps 1 hour left. Wujin closed his eyes. Then I'll work for 1 hour. Vexthera stood up slowly. She looked around the storage room again. At the wounded humans, the desperate doctor, the improvised medical equipment. Everything she had been taught told her these were enemies, monsters who killed for pleasure. But the evidence before her told a different story. I will send medical supplies, she said quietly. Wujin looked up in surprise. What? Basic surgical equipment. Plasma coagulators. Blood substitute. Enough to stabilize your patients, why? Wujin asked. Vexthera paused at the door. Because, she said, even monsters deserve a chance to prove they are not monsters. She left quickly, before anyone could see the doubt in her eyes. In the corridor, she walked past the main medical bay where Vorthan patients received the best care available. Her staff looked at her with questions in their faces, but she did not stop to explain. In the storage room, Wujin looked at his wounded soldiers with new hope. Maybe, just maybe, they had a chance after all. Dr. Vexthera moved through the medical station's corridors like a ghost. In her hands, she carried a case of advanced surgical equipment. Her mind raced with questions she did not want to answer. 20 minutes had passed since she promised to help the humans. Her medical staff had looked at her with shock when she gathered the supplies. None of them dared to ask why she was helping the enemy. As she approached the storage room, the main airlock alarm sounded. A new ship was docking. Vexthera paused and checked her wall display. The ship's markings were Vorthan, but old style. Colony Transport. She entered the storage room quietly. Dr. Kong Wujin looked up from his patient. His face showed surprise and hope. You came back, he said. I keep my promises, Vexthera replied. She set down the equipment case. This should help stabilize your patients. Wujin opened the case with eager hands. Inside were plasma coagulators, advanced scanners, and surgical tools he had only dreamed of using. This is military-grade equipment. Yes, Vexthera said. Do you know how to use it? I trained on similar models, Wujin said. He picked up a plasma coagulator and examined it. This could stop the internal bleeding. Then begin, Vexthera said. I will monitor your technique. As Wujin worked with the new equipment, the storage room door opened again. An elderly Vorthan entered, wearing the robes of a colony leader. His skin was darker than Vexthera's, marked with the scars of a hard life. Elder Kethmer, Vexthera said. She bowed her head in respect. Why are you here? Elder Kethmer looked around the storage room. His ancient eyes took in the wounded humans, the makeshift medical setup, the blood on the floor. I came to thank the humans who saved our children, he said. Vexthera felt her heart stop. What did you say? The mine collapse on Helios 7, Kethmer said. Human soldiers risked their lives to save 17 Vorthan children. My grandson was among them. Wujin looked up from his work. Your grandson, young Velter Kethmer said, 8 years old. He was trapped deep in the mine when the explosives went off. A human marine named Song carried him to safety. The marine died when the tunnel collapsed behind them. Vexthera stared at the elder. The reports we received said humans attacked a civilian transport. False reports, Kethmer said angrily, spread by the same criminals who planted the explosives. They wanted to start a war between our peoples. Criminals, Vexthera asked. Rogue elements from both sides, Kethmer explained. Humans and Vorthans who profit from conflict. They destroyed the mine to make it look like a human attack. When that failed, they bombed a transport ship and blamed humans for that too. Nurse Park Yun-soo spoke up from where she was treating Corporal Kim Tae-ho. So both attacks were fake. Both attacks were real, Kethmer said sadly, but the blame was placed on innocent people. The humans who died in our mine were heroes. The Vorthans who died on the transport were victims of criminals, not soldiers. Vexthera felt sick. She looked at Captain Lee Mingi, who was breathing more steadily. Now that Wujin had proper equipment, this young human had almost died saving Vorthan children, and Vexthera had called her a monster. Elder Vexthera said quietly, I refused to treat these humans. I believed they were killers. You believed what you were told to believe, Kethmer said. We all did, but truth has a way of revealing itself. Wujin continued his work, using the plasma coagulator to seal damaged blood vessels. The advanced scanner showed Minji's vital signs improving slowly. The internal bleeding is stopping, he said, but she's lost too much blood. She needs a transfusion. Human blood types are different from ours, Vexthera said. Our medical supplies won't help with that. I can donate, Corporal Tae-ho said. He started to stand up. No, Wujin said firmly. You're wounded too. I won't risk your life. Then use mine, Private Nam, Jiwon said. I'm the same blood type as the captain. Elder Kethmer watched as the humans prepared to risk their own health to save their leader. This is how your species behaves, he asked. You sacrifice for each other, always, Woojin said. He was setting up the blood transfusion equipment. That's what makes us human. Vexthera helped connect the transfusion tubes. Her long fingers worked alongside Woojin's human hands. I have studied human biology, she said, but I never understood human behavior. Most species don't, Jiwon said as his blood began flowing to Mingi. They see our wars and think we're violent. They don't see what we're really fighting for. And what is that? Vexthera asked. Each other, Woojin said simply. We fight to protect the people we care about. Sometimes that includes people who aren't even our own species. Elder Kethmer nodded slowly. My grandson told me something interesting. When the tunnel was collapsing, the human marine could have saved himself. Instead, he pushed Veltar to safety first. That sounds like Song, Taiho said. He always put others first. The marine spoke to Veltar before the tunnel fell. Kethmer continued. He said, tell them we're not monsters. Tell them we just want to protect people. The storage room became very quiet. The only sounds were the beeping of medical equipment and the soft hum of the blood. Transfusion pump. Vexthera looked at her hands, which were now stained with human blood. I was wrong, she whispered. Terribly wrong. You believed what you were told, Woojin said without anger. In war, truth is usually the first casualty. But I am a doctor, Vexthera said. I took an oath to heal all who need healing. I broke that oath because of my prejudice. You're helping now, Woojin said. That's what matters. Captain Minji's eyes fluttered open. She looked around the storage room with confusion. Where am I? She whispered. Safe, Woojin said. You're going to be fine, Captain. Mingi tried to sit up, but Woojin gently pushed her back down. The children, she said urgently. Did we get the children out? Elder Kethmer stepped forward. All 17 children are safe, he said. Thanks to you and your team. Minji closed her eyes in relief. Good song, and the others didn't die for nothing. They died as heroes, Kethmer said, and they will be remembered as heroes by both our peoples. Vexthera looked around the storage room. At the wounded humans who had risked everything to save alien children. At the elder who had come to thank his former enemies. At the makeshift medical bay where two species worked together to preserve life. Perhaps, she said quietly, it is time for the truth to spread beyond this room. The medical station's night cycle had begun. Soft blue lights dimmed the corridors as most of the staff rested. But in the storage room, Dr. Kong Woojin remained awake, monitoring his patients. Captain Li Mingi was stable but still weak. The other wounded Marines slept fitfully. Dr. Vexthera entered quietly, carrying another case of medical supplies. She moved like a shadow, careful not to wake her sleeping colleagues. How are they? She whispered. Better, Woojin said. The blood transfusion helped. But Mingi needs more specialized treatment for full recovery. Vexthera set down the case. I brought neural stimulators and tissue regenerators. Military-grade. Woojin stared at the advanced equipment. This could heal her completely. But if your superiors find out you're helping us, ... That is my concern, Vexthera said. She began setting up the tissue regenerator. I contacted someone who might help. A human doctor who has been studying cross-species medicine. Another human here. Prisoner of war, Vexthera explained. Dr. Yoon Daeyoon captured 6 months ago. He has been developing medical protocols for treating humans with Vorthon equipment. Woojin felt hope rise in his chest. Where is he? In the detention level, but I have arranged a secure communication link. Vexthera activated a small display screen. He can guide us through the procedure. The screen flickered to life, showing a tired-looking man in a prison uniform. Dr. Yoon Daeyoon had been a respected surgeon before the war. Now his face was thin, and his hair had gray streaks. Vexthera, he said, I got your message. You're really treating human patients. Yes, Vexthera said. They were injured saving Vorthon children. I need your help. Daeon's eyes widened. Saving Vorthon children. What happened? Woojin explained the mine rescue mission while Daeon listened carefully. When the story was finished, the imprisoned doctor was quiet for a long moment. I've been developing these protocols for months. Daeon said finally. The Vorthons wanted to interrogate human prisoners more effectively. I thought I was helping the enemy. You were helping everyone, Vexthera said. Cross-species medicine benefits both our peoples. Show me the patient, Daeon said. Woojin positioned the screen so Daeon could see Minji's condition. The imprisoned doctor studied the scanner readings with professional interest. The wound pattern suggests plasma burns, Daeon said. Vorthon neural stimulators can accelerate human healing, but you need to adjust the frequency. How? Woojin asked. Human nervous systems operate at different frequencies than Vorthon systems, Daeon explained. If you use standard settings, you could cause permanent damage. Vexthera and Woojin worked together, following Daeon's instructions. The neural stimulator hummed to life, sending healing energy into Mingi's damaged tissues. Her color improved almost immediately. Remarkable, Vextera said. I had no idea human physiology could respond so well to our technology. With the right adjustments, Vorthan medical technology is actually superior for treating human wounds, Dayon said. Your equipment is more advanced than ours. As they worked, footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. Vextera quickly shut off the communication link and hid the equipment case. Someone is coming, she whispered. The storage room door opened. Dr. Naloth, Vextera's assistant, stood in the doorway. His young face showed confusion and concern. Double quotes, Dr. Vextera, what are you doing here? Checking on the prisoners, Vextera said calmly, making sure they don't escape. Naloth looked around the room. He saw the medical equipment, the sleeping humans, the evidence of advanced treatment. You are treating them, he said in shock. You are giving them our best medical care. Yes, Vextera said. I am, but the orders were based on false information, Vextera said firmly. These humans saved Vorthan children. They are heroes, not monsters. Naloth stepped closer to examine Minji. The neural stimulator is working. Her tissues are regenerating. Dr. Naloth, Vextera said carefully. I need to know if you will report this to Commander Thalvin. The young doctor was quiet for a long moment. He looked at the wounded humans, then at Vextera. My nephew is in that mine, he said quietly. Little Kethrin, only 6 years old. Wujin looked up. Was he one of the children we rescued? Yes, Naloth said. A human marine carried him out when the tunnel collapsed. The marine died protecting him. That was probably Marine Lee, Corporal Taiho said softly. He always looked out for the youngest ones. Naloth knelt beside Marine Lee's body bag. This one, yes, Taiho said. He had a little sister back home, same age as your nephew. Tears appeared in Naloth's large black eyes. He died saving my family. He died doing what was right, Wujin said. Naloth stood up and moved to the equipment case. What do you need me to do? Vextera felt relief wash over her. Help us heal them and keep this secret until we can reveal the truth. The truth about the mine rescue, the truth about everything, Vextera said. The false reports, the criminal conspiracy, the real nature of both our species. They worked together through the night. 3 doctors from different worlds, united by their oath to preserve life. Wujin guided the human medical knowledge. Vextera provided Vorthan technology, and Naloth learned to bridge the gap between them. When morning came, Captain Mingi was sitting up and talking. The other wounded Marines were healing faster than anyone had thought possible. The combination of human determination and Vorthan medicine had worked miracles. How do you feel, Captain? Wajin asked. Like I could take on the whole Vorthan fleet, Minji said with a weak smile. But maybe I'll start with a simple walk around the room. Vextera helped her stand. Easy, your body is still healing. Minji looked at the Vorthan doctor with curiosity. You're the one who refused to treat us. Yes, Vextera said. I was wrong, I apologize. Apology accepted, Mingi said. You're helping us now. That's what matters. As Mingi took her first steps, alarms began sounding throughout the medical station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. What's happening? Wujin asked. Naloth checked his communication device. His face went pale. Commander Thalvin is coming. He's bringing a full security team. What does that mean? Minji asked. Vextera's hands began to shake. It means our secret is about to become very public, and not everyone will be happy about what we've done. Through the storage room's small window, they could see a military transport approaching the station. The moment of truth was coming, and none of them knew if they would survive it. Commander Thalvin's boots echoed through the medical station corridors like thunder. His security team followed behind him, weapons ready, faces grim. The Vorthan military commander had received disturbing reports about human prisoners receiving unauthorized medical treatment. Dr. Vextera stood in the main medical bay, trying to appear calm. Her hands shook slightly as she organized medical charts. Dr. Naloth worked beside her, his young face pale with fear. Where are the human prisoners? Thalvin demanded as he entered the medical bay. In secured holding, Vextera replied. Storage, level 3. I received reports that you have been treating them, providing them with advanced medical care. Vextera met his gaze steadily. I provided basic life support to prevent them from dying in our custody. Show me, Thalvin said. His voice was cold as space. They walked through the corridors toward the storage level. Vextera's mind raced. In the storage room, Dr. Kang Wujin was hiding the advanced medical equipment. Captain Li Minji was pretending to be more injured than she really was. The other Marines were ready to fight if necessary. Commander, Vextera said as they walked, I should inform you that Elder Kethmer visited the station yesterday, the colony leader. Why? He came to thank the humans who saved his grandson. Thalvin stopped walking. What are you talking about? The mine rescue on Helio 7. These humans died saving Vorthan children. The reports we received were false. Impossible, Thalvin said. Humans don't risk their lives for our people. These did, Vextera said firmly. 3 Marines died protecting 17 Vorthan children. They reached the storage room. Thalvin pushed open the door and saw the wounded humans inside. Wujin knelt beside Mingi, checking her pulse. The other Marines lay on stretchers, looking weak and helpless. So Thalvin said, "The famous human monsters." Wujin looked up. "We're doctors and soldiers, nothing more." "You are prisoners of war," Thalvin said, "and according to recent intelligence, you are also war criminals." "What intelligence?" Minji asked. She struggled to sit up, playing her part. "The bombing of transport ship Veltana, 43 civilian casualties. Your species seems to enjoy killing innocents." "We had nothing to do with that," Wujin said angrily. "We were saving your people, not killing them." Thalvin pulled out a datapad and showed it to the humans. Human military codes were used to coordinate the attack. Human weapons caused the... Damn it. Human fingerprints were found on the explosive devices. The storage room went silent. Even Vexthera looked shocked. "That's impossible," Minji said. "Our squad was on Helio 7 during the transport attack. We have witnesses." "Witnesses can be bought," Thalvin said. "Evidence does not lie." Private Nam Giwan spoke up from his stretcher. "Commander, may I see that datapad?" "Why? I'm a communications specialist. I might recognize the military codes." Thalvin hesitated, then handed over the datapad. Giwan studied the screen carefully, his eyes scanning the technical information. "These codes are fake," he said after a moment. "Explain." "Human military codes change every 6 hours," Giwan said. "These codes are from the wrong time period. Someone copied old codes and used them to make it look like humans did the attack." Thalvin took back the datapad. "You could be lying to save yourself. Check the timestamp," Giwan said. "The attack happened at 14:30 station time, but these codes expired at 12 o'clock. No human military unit would use expired codes." Vexthera stepped forward. "Commander, I believe there is a conspiracy to make our peoples fight each other." "Based on what evidence?" "The mine explosion was also staged," she said. Elder Kethmer confirmed it. "Someone planted explosives to make it look like an accident, then used it to frame humans for attacking civilians." Thalvin studied the data pad more carefully. His expression began to change as he examined the technical details. "Dr. Vexthera," he said slowly, "you will surrender these prisoners to military custody immediately." "No," Vexthera said. Everyone in the room stared at her. Thalvin's hand moved to his weapon. "What did you say?" "I said no," Vexthera repeated. "These humans are under my medical protection. They will not be moved until they are fully healed." "You are refusing a direct military order." "I am upholding my medical oath," Vexthera said. "These patients are not stable enough for transport." Thalvin drew his weapon. "Step aside, doctor, I will not ask again." Wujin stood up slowly. "Commander, I have a proposal." "Humans do not make proposals to Vorthan military officers." "Let me surrender myself," Wujin said. "Take me as your prisoner. Execute me if you want, but let the wounded live." "Doctor, no," Minji said. She tried to stand, but her legs were still weak. "It's the only way," Wujin said. "I'm the senior officer. Here, the responsibility is mine." Thalvin looked surprised. "You would die for these soldiers." "Without question," Wujin said. "That's what humans do. We protect each other." Corporal Taiho struggled to his feet. "If you execute the doc, you'll have to execute me too." "And me," Jawan said, standing despite his broken arm. Even wounded, the Marines formed a protective circle. Around their doctor, they were ready to fight with bare hands if necessary. Vexthera moved to stand with the humans. "And me as well, Commander. I will not let you harm my patients." Dr. Naloth joined her. "Or mine." Thalvin stared at the unlikely group, humans and Vorthans standing together, ready to die for each other. It was something he had never seen before. "This is madness," he said. "This is medicine," Vexthera replied. "This is what happens when people stop seeing enemies and start seeing patients." The airlock alarm sounded again. Another ship was docking with the station. Through the small window, they could see it was a colony transport. "Elder Kethmer returns," Naloth said. The storage room door opened, and the elderly Vorthon leader entered. Behind him walked 17 young Vorthon children, their faces bright with curiosity and life. Commander Thalvin Kethmer said, "Perfect timing. Children, these are the humans who saved your lives." The youngest child, barely 6 years old, ran to Corporal Taiho and hugged his leg. "You carried me out of the dark place." Thalvin's weapon lowered slightly. He looked at the children, then at the humans, then at his own medical staff standing with the enemy. "What have I walked into?" he whispered. "The future," Elder Kethmer said, "if we're brave enough to embrace it." The storage room had become the center of the universe. Commander Thalvin stood frozen, his weapon half lowered, staring at 17 Vorthon children who surrounded the human soldiers. The children laughed and chattered, completely unafraid of the aliens who had saved their lives. Little Voltar, Elder Kethmer's grandson, tugged on Captain Li Minji's hand. "The big human with the kind eyes carried me when the rocks were falling. Is he here?" Minji's eyes filled with tears. "No, little one. He had to go away, but he wanted you to know that he was happy to help you." "Will I see him again?" "Someday," Mingi said softly. In a better place where there are no falling rocks. Commander Thalvin watched this exchange with growing confusion. These were supposed to be monsters, killers, but the children showed no fear, only love and gratitude. Elder Kethmer, Thalvin said slowly. These humans really saved our children. 3 of them died doing it, Kethmer replied. They could have escaped when the explosions started. Instead, they stayed to make sure every child got out safely. Dr. Vextera stepped forward. Commander, I need to show you something. She activated her communication device and connected to the secure channel. Dr. Yoon Dae-yoon, are you there? The screen flickered to life, showing the imprisoned human doctor. I'm here, Vextera, Commander Thalvin. I presume. Thalvin stared at the screen. The human prisoner. You've been in contact with him. For months, Vextera said. He's been developing cross-species medical protocols. His research could revolutionize how we treat both human and Vorthan patients. Show him the data, Daeon said from the screen. The evidence about the transport bombing. Thalvin hesitated, then held up his datapad toward the screen. Dae-yoon studied the information carefully. Commander, Dae-yoon said after a moment. I helped design some of these communication systems before the war. These codes have been deliberately altered to frame human forces. How can you be certain? The encryption signatures are wrong, Daeon explained. Real human military codes use quantum encryption. These codes use standard digital encryption that anyone could fake. Thalvin looked at the datapad again. You're saying someone wanted us to blame humans for the transport attack. Someone who benefits from our species fighting each other, Elder Kethmer said. Arms dealers, perhaps, or political extremists from both sides who want eternal war. The youngest child, little Catherine, tugged on Dr. Naloth's robe. Uncle Nal, why is the scary Vorthan pointing his weapon at the nice humans? Naloth knelt down to the child's level. He's confused. Little one. Sometimes adults get confused about who the good people are. But the humans are good people, the child said loudly. They saved us from the dark, scary place. Commander Thalvin looked at his weapon, then slowly holstered it. Perhaps, he said quietly, I have been the one who is confused. The communication alarm sounded throughout the station. Dr. Vexera checked her display screen and her face went pale. What is it? Wujin asked. High Healer Mordain is approaching the station, she said. The Supreme Medical Authority of the Vorthan Republic. Why would the High Healer come here? Thalvin asked. Because, a new voice said from the doorway. I received some very interesting reports about interspecies medical cooperation. Everyone turned to see a tall, ancient Vorthan in ornate medical robes. High Healer Mordain was over 300 years old, her skin marked with the ceremonial scars of her rank. She commanded more respect than most military leaders. High Healer, Vextera said, bowing deeply. I can explain. Explain what? Mordain interrupted. That you saved lives using the best medical techniques available. That you put patient welfare above political considerations. There is nothing to explain, young doctor. There is only success to celebrate. She entered the storage room and examined. Captain Mingy with professional interest. Plasma burns, healed with neural stimulation therapy. Excellent work. The tissue regeneration is nearly perfect. Thank you, High Healer Vextera said. I was not speaking to you, Mordain said. She turned to Wujin. Dr. Kang Wujin, your surgical technique is impressive. You managed initial trauma stabilization with primitive equipment, then adapted quickly to advanced Vorthan medical technology. Wujin stared at her. You know who I am. I know all the best doctors in this sector, Mordain said. Human or Vorthan. Medical excellence recognizes no species boundaries. She moved to the communication screen where Dr. Dae-yoon waited. And you, Dr. Yoon Dae-yoon, your research into cross-species medicine has been remarkable. Even from prison, you have advanced medical science by decades. I had good teachers, Daeon said. Dr. Vextera shared her knowledge freely. As all good doctors should, Mordain said. She turned to address the entire room. What I see here is the future of medicine. Humans and Vorthans working together, sharing knowledge, saving lives, regardless of species. Commander Thalvin stepped forward. High Healer, these humans are prisoners of war, are they? Mordain asked. They look like patients to me. Dr. Vextera, are these individuals under your medical care? Yes, High Healer, then they are protected by medical sanctuary laws. Commander Thalvin, you have no authority over patients in active medical treatment. Thalvin looked uncertain. But the military orders do not override medical law, Mordain said firmly. These humans will remain under medical protection until they are fully healed. Elder Kethmer spoke up. High Healer, there is something else you should know. These humans died saving our children. They are heroes, not enemies. Mordain nodded. I am aware of the mine rescue. I am also aware of the false intelligence that has been spread about human war crimes. The truth will be revealed soon enough. She activated her own communication device and spoke in official tones. This is High Healer Mordain. I am declaring this medical station a neutral zone under interspecies medical treaty provisions. All military actions are suspended pending full investigation of recent incidents. You can do that, Mingy asked. I just did, Mordain said with something that might have been a smile. Now, Dr. Wujin, Dr. Vextera, I want to see your complete treatment protocols. This cooperation between human and Vorthan medicine must be documented and shared. Over the following hours, the storage room became a medical conference center. Human and Vorthan doctors worked together, sharing techniques and knowledge. The children played around them, completely comfortable with both species. Ambassador So Yuna arrived by emergency transport, followed by representatives from both governments, when they saw human and Vorthan medical staff working as a team. With rescued children playing nearby, the political situation changed immediately. This, Ambassador Yuna said to the Vorthan representatives, is what peace looks like. Within days, the truth about the staged attacks spread throughout both fleets. The criminals responsible were arrested, the false evidence exposed, and formal apologies exchanged between governments. Dr. Vextera found herself appointed as director of the first joint human Vorthan medical research facility. Dr. Wujin became her co-director, while Dr. Dayun was released from prison to head the new cross-species medicine department. Captain Mingy, fully healed and promoted, became the facility's security chief. Her job was to protect both human and Vorthan patients, ensuring that medical care remained neutral regardless of politics. On the day the new facility opened, Elder Kethmer brought his grandson Veltar to visit. The young Vorthan ran up to Mingy and hugged her legs. Are you going to protect the doctors? He asked. Always, Mingy said. Just like your human friends protected you. Good, Veltar said. Because doctors are important. They fix people when they're broken. Dr. Vextera overheard this exchange, and smiled. From the mouths of children, she said to Wujin, they see things more clearly than adults. He agreed. No prejudice, no fear. Just recognition of who helps and who hurts. Perhaps that is the lesson we all needed to learn, Vextera said. That healing is more powerful than hatred. That cooperation achieves more than conflict. As the sun set, over the new medical facility, human and Vorthan staff worked side by side in the emergency bay. They treated patients of both species with equal care and skill. The sight that had once seemed impossible was now simply normal. In the end, it had taken courage from individuals on both sides to bridge the gap between species. Not politicians or generals, but doctors and nurses who remembered that their oath was to preserve life, not to take it. The galaxy was still dangerous. Wars would still be fought. But in this small corner of space, former enemies had become allies, and the impossible had become routine. Sometimes, that was how peace began. One patient at a time. One life saved at a time. One act of courage at a time. And it all started when an alien medic stopped refusing to treat monsters and discovered they were heroes instead.